Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back from the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're talking Assault Rumble and how to get the highest score and the best ranking over in the new game mode. So the game mode's been out for about 4 days now, and it is the addition to OPTC for the 11th anniversary, and a lot of people have been scrambling their brains trying to figure out the best way to get the most amount of damage for the best teams against the 3 major bosses. Essentially, Assault Rumble is just Kazuna, but with PvP. And the way it works is that I already did like an initial playthrough video where you build up your rank to Assault level max at level 10, and then you get a total score that is your maximum score for each of the fights. So as you can see against this Blackbeard fight, my highest score is 17 million. That is the score that gets recorded. If I keep running the event and I get 15 million, 16 million, those scores do not tally into your total score. I do want to make that very, very clear, and your ranking is based on your best 3 scores for each particular fight. So in today's video, we're going to showcase the teams that I've been using, talk about the ranking system, talk about the rewards, talk about all the gripes and grimes that this game mode has and what people are really getting upset about. And I feel like the big one is ranking. Now, a lot of people are complaining about the ranking because obviously it suits the whales with the trusty characters and all of that fun stuff. But at the end of the day, this is a gacha game. Like, it's how they make money. It's how the business thrives. As you can see, I am in the top 10 for my personal ranking, which is actually very, very good. I'm actually incredibly happy with that. And most of that comes down to RNG, investments, having characters maxed out, all of that fun stuff. So just be mindful of that when you are playing this game mode, that like obviously like the more investment you have, you are going to do better in the rankings. However, I do want to talk about some other players that haven't been summoning for full trusty characters, are still established players that are still ranking quite well in this particular event. So if you take a look at the rules here, as you can see, the trusty characters give you a 1.3 times bonus for the new legends, including Zoro 6+, which is probably the biggest one that a lot of people are missing out on, and the Brook rare recruit, who's probably even bigger than the Zoro. So I feel like the Zoro is just like much easier to pull than the Brook. But if you have all of the new legends, you get 1.3 times 1.3 times 1.3 times 1.3. Then if you have all the new rare recruits, you get a 1.1 times 1.1 times 1.1 times 1.1. And it maxes out at like a 4 point something times multiplier with your trusty characters. Obviously, the more you summon, the better your ranking is going to be, but you don't have to summon to still get good scores and get good rewards. As I mentioned, I am sitting in the top 10, which again, I'm very, very happy about. But at the end of the day, the rankings don't change all that much when you are looking outside of sort of the top 500. So it is an alliance-based event, so your alliance is going to get ranks. Mainly just here, it's just bounty. Like, that's all I can really see as the big drawing point. You get a couple of red tickets, and I think, yeah, you get 3 red tickets. You get a bunch of rumble scrolls, which is nice, but the bounty's really just like the extra caveat for the alliance ranking. As for personal rank, gems is pretty much what everyone's going to be looking at. Everyone's going to be looking at the gem count and saying, well, I want to get the most gems out of this particular game mode. Now, remember, it does run for 5 days, so you should be able to hit the max level on the 4th day. I believe the 4th day, because you get 3 stamina each day. So it leaves you with around 2 days, if you are not using any gems, to try and get the best scores possible. Now, obviously, people are going to put out videos, people are going to put out teams or screenshots that do well, so you'll be able to find teams by that sort of 4th to 5th day that work for you. Maybe you want to splash a few gems to try and get your RNG, but at the end of the day, if you can rank somewhere in the top 1,000, you're still looking at 40 gems, which is very, very good. Now, I have been talking to players, they're players in my alliance. I've been talking to another content creator named Forest. He has Nami, Kizaru, and the rare recruits, no Brook, no Zoro, no Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and he's sitting comfortably in the top 500, which is around 45 free gems, basically. Sure, he might have spent a couple of gems there to get a better rank and whatnot. Say you spend 5 gems, you're still netting a profit of 40 gems and having fun with a particular game mode. One of my alliance members, Tony, also sitting in the top 200 very comfortably. He has a bit more of an established account, so he's going to be doing bigger numbers than most people, but at the same time, he doesn't have the Zoro, he doesn't have the Brook, and he's still going to net himself 45 gems from the rewards. If you guys are just sort of not going through and worrying about spending gems, and say you fall in the top, say, 2,500 to 5,000, which I feel like is pretty realistic for most mid-level players, you're going to be netting yourself 30 gems. And if you get very lucky and maybe you get a really good score and you sit in the top 2,500, you're going to net yourself 35 gems. On top of some bounty as well, which is going to help you hit those thresholds to get even more gems from the bounty-based missions. So overall, like, I feel like a lot of players need to stop looking at what everyone else is doing and start looking at what they're doing. If you want to summon for trusty characters, go for gold. Remember, this month is a bit of an anomaly, and not a lot of people are going to have trusty characters if this is a monthly event. If this is a monthly event and it's just a regular end-of-month batch, not a lot of people are summoning for the end-of-month batches. Obviously, there are some people that are. They're probably going to rank sort of up in this top 500 echelons. But again, if you rank somewhere in this top 2,500 to 1,000 or even 1,000 to 500, you're still netting yourself a really good amount of gems every single month. So like I said, I feel like a lot of players should be looking at what they're doing, not at what everyone else is doing with the trusty bonus, and still trying to net sort of teams that work really well against the particular content. And like I said, I'll go through my teams and have a chat about some key units that help out so drastically in these particular events. As you can see, if you go all the way down, say you fall in the top, say, 25 to 50,000, you're still getting 15 gems. Like, it's still quite nice, and I feel like a lot of people need to look at that rather than look at what everyone else is doing. Because like I said, it's a gacha game, it's a gacha mode, it's a business, it's how they make money, and trusty characters is the best way for them to get more people to summon for said units. Now, as you can see here, the rules: Buggy takes 15% more damage from Dex and Fighters. Kainu takes more damage from Strength and Slashes. Blackbeard takes more damage from Psy and Free Spirit. And then all Straw Hat, Navy, and Egghead characters get a 20% buff. I don't believe this stacks. I don't think it stacks anyway, but we're going to dive in. Like I said, I'm going to showcase my teams that I've been using. As you can see, my Blackbeard score is 17 million. That is my high score. We might beat some high scores today. Like I said, it's very RNG reliant, and that is sort of like the caveat to not only PvP, but this particular game mode in itself. So let's spend a gem, let's have some fun. Like I said, if you're having fun with the game mode too, like I'm actually really enjoying the game mode. I'm not hitting skip, I'm actually having a sus and seeing what the teams actually do. Then you're gonna enjoy it a little bit more. So taking on Blackbeard, this is the team that I have been rocking. I have been seeing a lot of people use Psy as well, using stuff like the Free Spirit Psy team with Law and Sanji, Yamato. Those types of characters are going to work very, very well. I believe I have the team sort of built somewhere. Yeah, something like this team right here. Roger is a great option, but I feel like Gear 5 Luffy, this one right here, the 6+, he's probably gonna do, oh, why am I in strength? He's probably gonna do better for you, like this, and then you can, like I said, you can just run any, like say, let's just run S-Bear on the bench. You can basically run anything there. Obviously, I don't have these characters all like max in terms of my investments, but I do have a lot of Limit Break expansions on them. Sanji's obviously doing really, really good things against int characters, and remember, Psy, Free Spirit characters are all getting a 15% plus 15% buff. And then Straw Hats, like Sanji and Luffy, are getting an extra 20% buff on top of that as well. So this is a really good team to try if you guys are struggling with the Blackbeard fight. Blackbeard is very, very weak to Action Bind. Another really good team that I was trying out is this one right here with Cerebrals, getting the 5 int characters using the Action Bind of Usopp, Lilith, and Stussy to lower defense as well, and allow Robin, Koala, and Atlas to sort of hit really, really hard. Shanks giving cooldown reduction to get more specials off. But the team that I did find the most success with, and obviously having the luxury of level limit break 5 on Luffy, Lucci, and Zorikaku, was this particular team right here. Again, we're basically just going to action bind lock Blackbeard into doing absolutely nothing. And if you just continuously action bind him and allow your characters to do damage dealing specials, it's going to net you more and more damage, and on top of that, you get a bonus for life. The downside to this is that you're not going to take any specials from Blackbeard, which means the super special of Zorikaku and Luffy Lucci is basically going to be non-existent for this particular fight. However, it's really not that much extra damage when you sort of weigh it up. I was testing stuff with Frankie in the front, I was testing stuff with Kuzan in the front, and trying to sort of just drop defense that way, trying to do more damage, but I was finding that the life bonus was drastically, was like nerfing us more than what the damage numbers seem to look like. So as you can see there, we got 15-second action bind with Usopp and Lilith. Because we are only facing Blackbeard, you'll always get the action bind off on Blackbeard there. So that's really, really nice. And then Raizo Shinobu comes in, adds another 10 seconds to the action bind, gives our shooters 5 turns, 5 counter for cooldown reduction, which is just going to help us get our specials back even faster, which again is the name of the game. Another way to drastically increase your damage is dropping defense. Characters that bypass defense are fantastic, but when there is no death mechanic in this game mode, having characters that hit really, really hard that would normally kill units really doesn't matter. So like 1 second there on the cooldowns, we get the action bind off, and basically the cycle continues. But yeah, having characters that bypass defense isn't exactly the best option for most teams. Having characters that lower defense and then do damage are going to be the best characters for this. So that's why Zorokaku is just absolutely demonic. Obviously, they are a Straw Hat as well, so they are getting the extra 20% buff. They're also Egghead too. Esper is a fantastic unit because he's a Psi Egghead unit, so he's getting the 15% and the 20% buff. He obviously has type advantage too, which is really, really cool. And as you can see, his forced out mechanic really isn't doing anything for us. We're going to get that action bind back up. So at this particular point, like, Blackbeard is basically just stuck into doing absolutely nothing. And we just continuously roll around with our specials. That was a little bit annoying that Zoro and Kaku didn't go there. -2 defense. It should be okay. Zoro and Kaku are about to go. You basically want to try and keep the defense nice and low for Zoro and Kaku, so they can hit somewhere upwards of around 40,000, as you guys can see there. And then you want S-Bear to be going in just sort of directly after that, so he can hit around 36. And then, like I said, RNG just plays a huge factor in this. Not because of the action lock, like basically at this point, like Blackbeard literally can't do anything, but it's all about when our specials are going to launch. And if we can get them off right before the end of the fight, that's going to be the difference between something like 550 million compared to something like, where's Zorokaku? See, Zorokaku, they're not going to get their special off, which is, oh no, they jumped up the queue, so they might just squeeze in. Yeah, they're going to just squeeze in. So this is perfect. So everyone's getting their specials off. Blackbeard's basically locked into submission. We have literally, with 1 second left, that is massive. 42k. 42k. Beautiful. Unfortunately, that is not as good as my high score. I believe my high score was 707,000. But still a very, very good score there, almost netting us 17 million. Again, if you just had like different timings of specials, where say Usopp Lilith went, dropped the defense, and then you have Zorokaku go after that while the defense is already lowered, then you sort of get into a cycle where you're using those types of specials. That's where you're going to see the most amount of damage there. Moving on to the Buggy fights. Now, Buggy has 3 enemies, so having characters that can do widespread damage is the play here. Now, this is the team that I've had the most success with. I actually got a romper of a score. 31 million, I believe, is my highest for this particular event, and this one is purely RNG based. It's like, well, the next one is the most RNG based, but this one does have a huge RNG factor, and some of those RNG factors rely on the structure of where the cross-skilled units fall. You want them to be bunched up for the entire fight. If they start to spread themselves out, characters like Lucci and Sobermask are going to struggle with damage. The characters like Kaido and Ace are basically always going to target a unit. Now, this is a clutch special as well, where Buggy lowers your cooldown by 70%. Realistically, you don't want that to ever hit Kaido or Ace. Even Lucci as well. Lucci hits really hard. Sobermask is a fighter dex unit, so he hits really hard. But if you lose the Sobermask special, it's not the end of the world, because Sobermask has a higher chance of whiffing compared to characters like Kaido and Ace. Ace is always hitting characters, Kaido's always hitting characters, and Kaido is also giving the cooldown reduction as well. Lucci has a really good chance at hitting units. He lowers defense as well. Sobermask's passive just lowers defense. But as you can see there, Ace is the one that is doing majority of the damage, as he is literally always hitting units and just guaranteeing you just absolute massive damage. He's lowering defense as well, which is absolutely huge. Unfortunately here, as you guys will see, Buggy's probably going to hit Kaido. Oh no, Kaido go. Yes! You really want Buggy to hit Halloween Uta. Halloween Uta has a super special, so you do want her taking specials and then just basically popping off the super special once. But her special giving 30% cooldown to I believe it's your lowest cooldown units, and then also having the passive to give cooldown is absolutely massive. She is the key to this particular fight, and a character that was definitely overlooked when it came to team building most of these dex-based teams. Unfortunately, she didn't take the special just there, which is a little bit of a bummer, but that's okay. Ace should be able to get some good damage in here. Very nice, 38, 38. Now, I believe my highest score for this one was like 1.6 or something ridiculous like that. So we want, yeah, see, this is a problem. See, Sobermask only hit 2 units there. which is a massive, massive issue when it comes to how much extra damage output you can get with the Sober Mask special. But with Kaido and, again, with Ace, you're basically always hitting units there. So Buggy's going to roll back Lucci, which is a bit of a shame because Lucci does do a lot of damage. However, Ace is sort of making his way up the queue, and getting the Ace special off is going to be much more beneficial than getting something like the Lucci special off, because Lucci, like I said, he has the chance of sort of missing units there. We're going to get anyone off? Damn. So, a bit of a shame, because if we got the Lucci special and the Sobermask special, which were fully charged, if we got them to pop off at the last second, the damage numbers would have gone through the roof. But as you can see there, 23,677,000. And this particular team that you see right here is the exact same team that I used to get my max score. So I actually have my max team recorded, and it was absolutely clutch. As you can see, coming down to the last second, I had Sobermask special go off there, hitting all 3 of the characters. And then Lucci just chucking in a cheeky little 13k with a normal attack there, cracking off at, what was that, 1.5 million, which then obviously goes into your bonuses there, which does a huge difference. And as you can see down the bottom there, obviously you get the defeat bonus, you get your assault level bonus, and then that trusty bonus, that 4.18. That is the big one that most people are complaining about. All right, wrapping it up with probably the most annoying of the fights. This one is like where people are banging their head against the wall, because as you can see there, my high score is 29 million. However, with the exact same team, sometimes I get like 18 mil. It's all dependent on the RNG of your Halloween Uta and your Kobe special. These 2 units are the key to getting the highest score, because you need to get them on a good rotation where Uta gives the cooldown to Kobe, so then Kobe can give the cooldown to everyone, get the haste ability, get Uta back up, then Uta gives the cooldown to Kobe, and then Kobe's giving... You need that cycle running to just get the most amount of damage. Now, if you have 6+ Doflamingo, 6+ Doflamingo is a straight shoe-in for Luffy. I believe he's just going to do more damage as a... strength slasher character with the super special. Lots of people can like get him to level 150 as well, because like Dofis are just so easy to pull. Unfortunately, we won't have him for this particular event. The big characters for damage are Kuma and Akainu. The 6+ Akainu is a Navy character, and Kuma is an Egghead character. Both of them are strength-based units, so they are both doing the extra 15% damage and then the extra 20% damage. But to get the highest scores here, Kobe and Halloween Uta, realistically, they're the best characters. I have seen people have some success with Raizo and Shinobu in the front over something like Akainu, for example. Having Raizo Shinobu there can give extra cooldown to Uta, which allows her to get her special off a little bit more. It also allows Kuma to get his special off a little bit more. But I find that the Akainu damage is just so significant, especially because Akainu is also lowering defense, which just drastically increases his damage. Luffy is a really good just staple for damage, because he's always hitting 6 units. And then if he gets below 50% HP, which ideally you definitely want him to do, so then he gets that extra shot off at the end. And that's where the Akainu defensive drops come into play, because the Akainu defensive drops can just help out so drastic there. So as you can see, that's a really good Kobe haste. Luffy's going to go first, so Luffy's special is going to do some damage for us. Fortunately, the enemy is very spread out, which is a bit annoying. But then Uta is going to go give back some cooldown to Kobe, so then Kobe can get closer and closer to using his special once again. You do want to try and get the Uta super special off, so you do want to actually take some specials here. But the very toxic combination of dot damage, counter damage, and what's it called? And then just like straight fixed damage just can be super problematic for a lot of teams. And unfortunately, if you don't get the super special of Uta off, the life bonus can be a massive issue here. There are times where literally this team will literally wipe out every single one of my units, and I'll have like 1 unit left with a timeout after getting a full break. There'll be other times where literally my front line, like no one will die. So having Kaido on the bench as a bit of a security blanket can help out a lot. Now, ideally here, we want Luffy to get the haste. Unfortunately, that was not the case. And we also wanted Uta to get the haste, but also have Uta at the back end of the haste. You can kind of see where I'm going with this now in terms of the RNG factor. Having Uta and Kobe work hand in hand. Like both of them are pretty much must-brings on the team, but it's all reliant on how it actually works in that regard. So Uta there is now going to get her super special off. Very lucky she didn't die there. There's been multiple runs where Uta's had her super special ready to go, and then she's just unfortunately died. but her super special gives, see, now Akainu dies, and at this particular point, the team starts to crumble just a little bit. Kaido as a back-end unit isn't terrible, because he is providing some pretty good damage numbers, but at the same time, like, the haste can now work against you, because you have dot damage, there is counter damage, so if you sort of haste the character that doesn't have a special that is going in to do just regular damage against Ryogoku, then they are going to take a lot. Now, jumping Qs is just very frustrating there, Kizaru. I would appreciate it if you did not do that, please. That's very, very annoying. So as you can see, we're doing some pretty nice damage here. We're almost at 900,000, but I feel like my top score was well into the like 1.6 mark or 1.5, somewhere around there. So again, having the Kobe haste into the Uta ability, not losing characters in the front, the very toxic combination that this fight actually has, where you are having to deal with like the dot damage is a lot too. Like it's like Blackbeard levels of dot damage, and then you have fixed damage coming in after it, which, as you can see there, can kill Kaido, and it can leave you on a pretty low score. So this particular team literally is the same one that I used to get my max score, and as you can see, 17.7 million there compared to the max score of 29 million is a massive, massive difference. So I have another recording literally of the exact same team, basically the exact same setup as well, doing a little bit differently in the run. Again, it just all relies on how the super special goes, how the Kobe special goes, how Akainu goes. As you can see there, Akainu hits ridiculously hard. Kuma coming in towards the back end, doing like a butt ton of damage there, just bumping that number up to 1.3, which is actually pretty good. Like if Luffy had a special there, maybe we could have done some more damage. And yeah, like the life bonus comes into effect as well. So then you can sort of see 26 million as well. But that is Assault Rumble in a nutshell from a top 10 player. It's a pretty good game mode, like I said. It's not perfect, like most game modes in OPTC aren't, but just like I said, the best advice I can give you is just focus on what you're doing to try and get the highest score you can with your resources. Don't look at what everyone else has and sort of say, well, hang on, I don't have the trusty characters, so I'm not going to score as high, or I'm not going to rank as high. Just do what you can and be happy with the rewards that they get given, and honestly, enjoy the game mode. If you're not enjoying the game mode, then you're already losing, and like they give you all the resources to play it for free. You don't have to go spending gems, and just be happy with what you know. But that's going to wrap up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys have any like better teams. If you guys know anything that I don't know. But remember, investment, RNG, it is the name of the game. And unfortunately, it is going to change the difference between ranking first and ranking, say, 100th, to be honest. But like I said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, enjoy the 11th anniversary. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Let's